This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Hey, thanks for joining us here for Sunrise Extra. It is 7 o'clock on your Monday morning after a 3-day weekend. Kind of makes it tougher to get out of bed.
Oh, it sure does. But hopefully you had a good 4th of July and the skies were clear for all those fireworks shows.
Oh, yeah. They had some amazing fireworks shows going on. Some of them lasting a little bit longer than they should have, but, you know, that's what it is.
I'm sure they'll continue this week, too.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably have fireworks shows, unofficial ones, going off until, like, the middle of July or something. Was he heading out this morning? We're certainly dealing with that warmth, 78 degrees at the airport in Louisville, but 70 into Lebanon, Salem, Paoli, and over into Tell City, too. So a lot of us dealing with some of these warm, muggy conditions for this morning as we're seeing that sun now over the horizon. Clear skies overhead in most spots. We are seeing some of these clouds drifting into portions of southern Indiana, anywhere from near Jasper up towards Bedford, getting in a few of those clouds. But in terms of the rainfall, that's still well to our west. So while we are starting off today with all of that sun, once we get into the afternoon, we're going to add in more clouds and eventually more of those showers and thunderstorms. Some of these thunderstorms can produce some very heavy rain and some gusty winds. Outside of that, we'll watch those temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and low 90s for your highs. So another summer-like day, that is for sure, with more of that heat coming our way. And we're going to keep our highs near average as we continue throughout this week with daily rain chances in the forecast. I'll break those chances down in just a bit.
Thanks, Tawana. A breaking news alert this morning on Sunrise. Shively police are conducting a double murder investigation. Officers say around 1:30 this morning, Shively police responded to the 3200 block of Kingswood Way. They arrived to find two women in their 20s with gunshot wounds. Officers say they both died at the scene. No information was given about possible suspects. If you know anything, contact the Shively Police Department. Also breaking this morning, Metro Police are working to figure out where a man was shot after he arrived at Audubon Hospital late last night. They say just a few minutes after 10, the man was dropped off by private means with a gunshot wound. He was taken to U of L Hospital and is expected to survive his injuries. Metro Police are asking anyone with information about the shooting to give them a call or submit a tip to their anonymous tip lines.
An investigation is underway after 2 people were killed and several others were hurt in a shooting in Indianapolis early Saturday morning. Officials say officers were already responding to another disturbance in the area when they learned of a second disturbance. The officers heard gunfire as they responded to that second scene. One person was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials say 6 people were taken to the hospital, where one of the victims later died from their injuries. Police say the victims were a mix of adults and juveniles.
I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers. You are. And parents and guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight. And we just don't know the age of the young man down the street, still here, dead. He looks young.
Police say numerous guns were found at the scene and several people were detained for questioning. In the aftermath of the shooting, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and Chief Bailey announced police intend to step up enforcement of their youth curfew. City leaders say they'll also be adding surveillance cameras downtown in problem areas. They'll also add more resources for officers by enlisting help from Indiana State Police troopers. Bailey and Hogsett said they're also working with the Indianapolis City-County Council to update local ordinances.
Jeffersonville police have made an arrest in a shooting that put a man in the hospital. Just after 11:30 Saturday night, officers got a call about a crash near Presidential Place and Washington Way. That's where they found a man with a gunshot wound inside of a wrecked car. They believe he was trying to get away from the shooter when he crashed. A short distance away, they found 22-year-old Zachary Jackson. They haven't charged him with attempted murder, aggravated battery, criminal recklessness with a firearm, and possession of a stolen firearm. He's being held in the Clark County Jail on a $50,000 bond. The man he's accused of shooting is in recovery. The woman charged with violently robbing and beating an elderly woman in Valley Station last year will have another court hearing today. Jamara Curtin is set to have a motion hour hearing this morning at 9 o'clock. She faces robbery, burglary, and assault charges.
It's been 10 years since Bardstown mother Crystal Rogers was last seen. Her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Houck, and one of his employees, Joseph Lawson, are on trial for her presumed murder.
Over the weekend, prosecutors and defense teams have been fine-tuning their approaches for closing arguments, which will start this morning. It's week 3 of that trial in Bowling Green. Because of the holiday weekend, court has not been in session since Thursday. Some of the big takeaways from last week's testimony. One defense witness, former LMPD homicide detective Denny Butler, emphasized no search done in the last 10 years has yielded a clear sign of Rogers, implying a lack of evidence. One discovery seemed promising, a pair of women's underwear and clothes unearthed from a subdivision Houck helped build. But a DNA profile was not developed, so Crystal Rogers' DNA can't be included or excluded from the evidence. Prosecutors asked Butler if every homicide case produces trace evidence or DNA, and he says not every case does, but it is unlikely it would not yield something. Our Wave legal analyst Leland Holbert talked about what could happen in this third week of the trial.
I think closing arguments will go along those lines of the defense saying they just didn't prove it. There's not enough evidence. You can't send someone to prison for murder and convict them because there's just not enough evidence. And the prosecution can say, well, there's a reason there's not enough evidence because they hid everything. They're skilled. They planned this out. There are multiple people. It wasn't just a one-man shoddy job.
Closing arguments are set for 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 there in Bowling Green. Deliberations are scheduled to start on Tuesday. You can follow along with all the updates with our live blog on wave3.com. Once we learn the verdict, we'll share that update on air, online, and on our Wave News app. City leaders and civil rights groups are condemning what they're calling a white supremacist group that was seen marching through Louisville this weekend. The march has sparked many reactions from Mayor Craig Greenberg and the city's chapter of the NAACP.
Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini joins us with details on those reactions and what one local group would like to see from the community.
On Saturday, a large group of masked people marched through the streets with variations of the American flag, Confederate flags, and what appeared to be shields. This was video sent to Wave News by a viewer. It was taken at the corner of South 7th Street and Liberty Street.
Initially, I was shocked and surprised that such a march was taking place in Louisville.
Raymond Burrs says the NAACP Louisville branch condemns the march, calling them white supremacists.
It's unfortunate that a group like this feels comfortable now that they're willing to come out publicly with it.
Burrs says the NAACP has been fighting against racial hatred and division for decades. He says that mission won't be deterred by groups like the one that marched on Saturday. City officials also shared their thoughts on the march on social media. Mayor Craig Greenberg posted on X saying he condemned the group, its message, and their activity. He went on to say, quote, while the rest of our city is celebrating our country's freedoms this weekend, they're focused on hate and have no place in our city or anywhere else. Burrs now hoping others will speak up as well.
The silence in a situation like this is not acceptable.
LMPD said while the demonstration was understandably concerning, no unlawful activity was observed. That's why the department says no intervention was required on their part.
Still to come this morning, President Trump's big, beautiful bill was signed into law.
We'll have comments Governor Andy Beshear made about the bill over the weekend. That's coming up in just 2 minutes.
At least 82 people are dead as search efforts intensify for those who are still missing following catastrophic flooding that struck central Texas. Coast Guard air crews hoisted people from flooded RV rooftops in Kerrville to escape fast-rising floodwaters. A Coast Guard rescue swimmer stayed with flood victims and provided medical assistance while helping to evacuate 230 people. In Kerr County, 40 adults and 28 children are confirmed dead. A number of people are still missing. Officials say it's possible the death toll could go up. In Barnett County, the sheriff's office confirmed at least 3 people are dead and others are missing amid the floodwater and debris, including volunteer fire chief Michael Phillips. He was last seen attempting a rescue. Emergency responders have used drones, helicopters, boats, and dogs for these search and rescue operations. Officials have split the county into 2 sections, north and south, for those operations.
Today, missing count is 5. We currently have 3 recoveries. We are currently working multiple areas of search and rescue.
And at that Camp Mystic, a counselor and some of the girls who attended are still missing as well. It just happened so fast. It was about 26 feet is what the water rose in just 45 minutes.
Terrifying that it can happen that fast.
Yes.
And Tawana, you said that's kind of the point of flash flooding. It just happens like that.
It happens very, very quickly, which is why it's so important to be weather aware. Now, that is a situation where a lot of that flooding happened overnight when a lot of people were asleep. So that's why we always tell you to make sure you have multiple ways to get alerts. Sometimes a cell phone is just not enough. What we're dealing with right now in our area, cold front draped off towards our northwest. This will be the key to our rain chances as we continue throughout your Monday. Right now, we are seeing clear skies across our region, and we're talking about plenty of sunshine. Seeing that sun just beaming down right now on our SkyTrack camera in Jeffersonville, and not a cloud in the sky overhead in that spot. Your temperatures are still in the 70s, low 70s outside of the metro. In the metro, seeing mid to upper 70s to start off the day. As we continue throughout your Monday, we'll add in more clouds for this afternoon, with highs today in the upper 80s and the low 90s. As we approach 2, 3, 4 o'clock, we'll start to see some spotty showers popping then. As of right now, it looks like southern Indiana will initially get in on some of those storms before more of us across Kentucky will add in on some of those storms for later on this afternoon and evening. Keep in mind with some of these thunderstorms, they can produce some heavy rain and some gusty winds as they roll on by. Once the sun goes down, our rain chances will drop off. We'll keep some clouds overhead for tonight into tomorrow. So keep in mind, many of us will not see a single drop of rain today, while others can get closer to a 1/4 of an inch, even 1/2 an inch of rainfall in some spots. So this is why it's always important to have the notifications and your location turned on in the Wave weather app so we can let you know when rain and lightning is moving your way. Once you get into the overnight hours, we'll see those temperatures back down into the 60s and the low 70s. Looking ahead to the next 10 days, for tomorrow, we'll see some isolated downpours, but most of us dry with a mix of sun and clouds, and those highs in the upper 80s and the low 90s. Now, with that front still nearby on Wednesday, we'll get more of those showers and thunderstorms in our forecast then, and we'll keep more of those storms around into Thursday as well. Once we get into Friday, our rain chances do drop off, but we're going to keep that isolated chance around for your Friday into Saturday. With drier conditions for both of those days, our temperatures will just climb back up just a tad, and then we'll watch them dropping right back down on Sunday as more widespread rain tries to come back into our forecast. Now, while we are going to be dealing with these multiple rounds of storms throughout the week, not seeing a washout for any of these days, so just make sure you're staying weather aware. In terms of widespread totals throughout the week, most of it's going to see around 1 inch to 2 inches of rainfall, and then in some locations we could see some isolated higher totals as multiple rounds of these storms move through. Getting into next week, as another front approaches on Sunday, this will help to increase our rain chances, and we're going to keep some sort of storm in the forecast through the first half of next week.
Thank you, Tawana. LMPD is still looking for a man they say abandoned his 4-month-old child last week to run away from police. Police say they tried to pull over Christopher Morris Wednesday. LMPD says Morris then drove off. Officers chased him until he abandoned his car at the Village West on Magazine Street. His 4-month-old child was left behind in the back seat. Police say Morris will be charged with child endangerment and other charges once he's caught. If you know where he could be, call 574-LMPD.
LMPD still doesn't have any answers after finding a man shot inside of a wrecked vehicle on a Louisville interstate. They were originally responding to a report of a crash on I-71 south near Lime Kiln Lane. That was around 2 o'clock yesterday morning. When they got to the scene, they found a man with a gunshot wound inside the crashed vehicle. He died there at the scene. The Jefferson County coroner has identified him as 50-year-old Craig Wills. The homicide unit has not made any arrests yet.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear appeared on CNN's State of the Union over the weekend talking about the Republican domestic policy bill that was signed into law. In the interview, he called the legislation, quote, an attack on rural America.
Whether you have private insurance or Medicaid, if you live in rural America, you have to drive hours just to see the doctor that used to be in your community. It is awful, and that is before we even talk about the cuts to SNAP, which means that seniors and children will go hungry at night and wake up hungry in the morning. I cannot believe that Congress was willing to pass this. I mean, it's awful.
While supporting work requirements for Medicaid, Governor Beshear said under the new law, a single paperwork error can translate into 6 months or more without critical benefits.
The organization Kentucky Resist held a protest over the big, beautiful bill on the steps of the Laurel County Courthouse.
My nephew is nonverbal autistic. That is why I am here, because I want to make sure that he has the care that he is going to need. He is going to need lifetime care. And with this bill, his family, my brother and my sister-in-law, they don't know what they're going to do.
Although the protesters say they faced some opposition from passing cars, the leaders of Kentucky Resist say the group will continue to stand up for the people.
And still ahead, an important warning posted by Costco over the weekend because some items are being recalled.
We'll tell you which items are being recalled coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Louisville health leaders are asking you to check your measles vaccination status after an outbreak of the virus in central Kentucky. The Cabinet of Health and Family Services is tracking 5 measles cases in Woodford, Todd, and Fayette counties. While no cases have been reported in our area, Louisville Metro Health and Wellness says you should not take any risks. Health leaders say 2 doses of the measles vaccine is 97% effective at stopping the spread of the virus. A warning for some Costco customers: the company is recalling some items. They're urging shoppers who have bought these products to stop using them immediately.
They include the Danby 8 KU-shaped window air conditioner. The product may have been sold under other names such as Comfort Air or Keystone. The company also recalled another air conditioning unit, the Medea U-shaped window ACs. Costco says both AC units may not drain water quickly enough and could lead to mold. The company also recalled 2 power bank models because of an issue with lithium-ion batteries. People should stop using the Bridgestone Blizzak 6 tires because they're missing a Department of Transportation certification seal. Well, today is World Chocolate Day, so if you're looking for an excuse to indulge in the sweet treat, why not try some dark chocolate, because it actually offers a few health benefits. Dietitian Beth Cerrone says the recommended amount of dark chocolate per day is 1 ounce, which is about 1 square piece of chocolate. As for the best kind to get, she says look for anything with 70% or more cocoa and less than 8 grams of sugar. You don't want to get anything that's loaded with other ingredients. She also says that dark chocolate is an acquired taste and it can be bitter, so if you've never had it before, you should try sampling a little bit at a time. You could even add other foods if you'd like.
You can dip it, with fruit, but you can also add dark chocolate chips to granola or trail mix. You can add it in with your baking, so if you're having muffins or breads. The other thing too is these cocoa nibs, which are just little pieces of dark chocolate. You can add that to almost anything that you're looking for.
Cerrone says if you prefer milk chocolate or white chocolate, make sure you enjoy it in moderation because both have high sugar and fat content.
A nonprofit dedicated to making movement accessible to everyone just moved into a new space. Rise Fitness offers inclusive exercise programs for teens and adults who have disabilities. Yesterday, they had a grand opening and open house for their new location in Middletown.
You just have that feeling of just being rewarded. It's just such a fun thing to be a part of. Like once it gets going, it doesn't feel so much like work. It's just fun. And I can't imagine doing anything else. I really can't. It's just that great.
The new location is at the end of Eastgate Parkway, and if you'd like more information or to donate, you can go to risefitnesskentucky.com.
The results are in for the Madison Regatta. Every year, the speedboat racing event draws people to the town of Madison, Indiana. As for the Indiana Governor's Cup final heat, the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate came in first, the U8 Beacon Electric was second, and the U11 Beacon Plumbing placed third. You can find the complete results over on wave3.com or on the Wave News app.
As we celebrate America's 250th anniversary next year, we're looking back at what happened on this day in history. Today, we're looking back to July 7th, 1912, when Jim Thorpe won the pentathlon at the 5th Modern Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. Thorpe's first win was in the long jump, then a third-place finish in the javelin. After that, he won the 200-meter, followed by a first-place finish in the discus throw and the 1,500-meter. He went on to win several other events, but was stripped of his titles after the Olympics committee learned he'd been paid for some minor league baseball games. It wasn't until the 1980s when Thorpe's medals were restored posthumously. Today, he's widely acknowledged as one of the most talented all-around athletes of the 20th century. You can read more about him and his accomplishments on Olympics.com.
Incredible athlete. I mean, pentathlon, and then also to play professional baseball.
Yeah, just incredible to win all those things. All right, you're going to be back with some more stuff streaming at 7:30.
Yep, and plenty more news and weather coming up here on Wave Now.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good Monday morning. I'm Shannon Kogan. New JCPS Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood will get a look at one of JCPS's 54 Summer Success League sites. Yearwood will visit teachers and rising first through sixth graders at Auburndale Elementary School today at 1. More than 7,000 JCPS students are enrolled in the Summer Success League, which focuses on math and literacy skills to mitigate students' summer slide. Well, it's going to feel like summer today, Tawana.
It certainly is, as we're going to be watching more of that sunshine, more of that heat and humidity coming our way. Right now, we're seeing mainly clear skies across the majority of Wave Country with some clouds and some rain showers off towards our west. But right now, most of our SkyTrack cameras, we're seeing this blue skies with that sun beaming down. Your temperatures are mainly in the low to mid 70s in most spots. In the metro, this is where we're seeing those upper 70s to start off the day. But once we get into later on this afternoon, we'll see those highs in the upper 80s and the low 90s as we keep an eye on additional rounds of scattered showers and thunderstorms coming our way. With some of these thunderstorms, we can get locally heavy rain and some gusty winds, so we'll be watching that trend closely. Keeping an eye on your roads this morning, the main thing that you have to contend with, especially if you're traveling to the east, will be that sunlight in your eyes. So make sure the visors are adjusted, you have the sunglasses ready to go with some of that, because at this time of the morning, that sunlight can make it a little bit harder to see some of those tail lights ahead of you. Other than that, things looking pretty good on your roads. We do have that one stalled vehicle showing up over towards 64 in the western half of the metro, but that's off towards the side, so that's not impacting anything for your morning commute. As we look ahead to the next 10 days, we'll see temperatures staying in the upper 90s. Isolated rain chances tomorrow, with rain chances going up a little bit more for your Wednesday and Thursday.
Hey, thanks for staying with us here on Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. We continue to follow the fallout of the Jamie Knoll case, including last week when Misty Knoll, his estranged wife, pleaded guilty to theft and tax evasion charges as part of a plea deal. Prosecutors say she spent more than $600,000 on a new Chapel EMS credit card. In the sentencing, Misty said she felt remorse, but Judge Larry Medlock shared his own comments.
And I apologize if my emotionless response came across like I don't care about people, because my whole life has been taking care of people.
Your attempted queen status and tried to live the high life on the backs of the honest folks and citizens of Clark County.
Misty Knoll was also ordered to pay the $660,000 as restitution to New Chapel EMS. A man arrested in connection to a Russell neighborhood murder went before a judge last week. Maurice Hurd is charged with complicity to murder. Police believe he played a role in the killing of Wayne Woods. Officers found Woods with gunshot wounds near West Chestnut Street and Dr. W.J. Hodge Street on April 13th. He died at the hospital. LMPD said that surveillance video shows Hurd was driving a car and watching Woods shortly before the shooting. Then they say he pulled up next to the victim at a stoplight and somebody got out of the car and shot him. The judge set Hurd's bond at $500,000. He should be back in court on the 14th. We're learning more about an LMPD officer who shot at a man in a standoff. Police say Officer Andrew Passante shot at Jared Amir Garrett on Dumanil Street last Wednesday morning. Investigators say Garrett was intoxicated, suicidal, and holding a gun. They ordered him to drop that gun, but they say instead he pointed his weapon at the officer. Passante then shot at him. He was not hit by the gunfire. LMPD records show Passante had one letter of reprimand in his file for failing to appear in court. Garrett was in court earlier last week. He faces charges including assault, wanton endangerment, and criminal mischief. A judge set his bond at $75,000. After 2 tries, developers trying to build a data center in Oldham County are scrapping those plans. Western Hospitality Partners' decision came 2 days after the county fiscal court placed a 150-day moratorium on any data center development with no carve-outs. The original plan was to build a data center off Highway 53. However, those plans were scrapped after it was met with fierce pushback from nearby residents. WHP then moved those plans to the Sauerbeck Family Drive-In. The drive-in's owner said they would relocate somewhere else.
We knew nothing about a data center when it came here. We've learned a lot since. I think as the thing unfolded, the public expected us to be out in front of the issue and not behind the issue, but it was a brand new issue to all of us.
A WHP spokesperson indicates the company may look elsewhere in the state, saying, quote, Kentucky remains a state full of opportunity and strong interest for future projects, end quote. They also said that they look forward to working with the Commonwealth in the future. The leader of Kentucky's High School Athletic Association is answering claims included in the state auditor's new report. Auditor Allison Ball says the State Department of Education and KHSAA are not mitigating the risk of sexual harassment and abuse of student athletes. In the report, Ball says KHSAA needs to create a system for tracking Title IX and related complaints. Commissioner Julian Tackett says student safety is a priority, but his agency needs help from school districts to implement any changes outlined by Auditor Ball.
We certainly can create a registry, but in all honesty, it's a registry of virtually zero occurrences. If these accusations are coming about school employees and we don't have authority over school employees, we obviously are going to need some help.
Auditor Ball also recommended KHSAA resume providing annual reports to the KDE. Those practices stopped during the pandemic. Tackett says they are open to resuming those reports. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with more Wave Extra right after this. Thanks for sticking with us here on Wave Extra. So many people suffer from migraines. That's 37 million people in the U.S. actually do. And if you're one of them, you've probably noticed they can be caused by different factors like lifestyle changes, hormones, even the weather. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke explains the relationship between headaches, migraines, and the weather.
Wave Country is no stranger to extreme weather patterns. This is video from storms in Elizabethtown back in mid-June. For those who suffer from migraines, weather like this can be an issue.
Anytime we go from temperatures like in the 50s or 60s all the way to the 80s within a 48, 72-hour window or vice versa, that in itself can induce migraines.
According to the National Headache Foundation, a headache qualifies as a migraine when there have been at least 5 headache attacks lasting 4 to 72 hours each, with moderate to severe pulsating pain on one side of the head. The headache is so intense, a person cannot do physical activity, and they experience nausea or vomiting, hypersensitivity to light or sound. Unfortunately, there is not a one-size-fits-all solution, but the treatment options have changed drastically since 2018.
And migraine patients typically don't respond well to over-the-counters. So there are all the triptans that are available, they're prescribed meds, and now we have those new abortive monoclonal antibodies, different than the preventive ones. They work wonderful for patients. DHE is available.
As the temperatures heat up this summer, doctors say staying hydrated is crucial, adding dehydration can trigger migraines too. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Well, over the weekend, the Louisville Zoo was filled with a unique set of sounds. The sound of harps, violins, drums, and many more instruments were back at the zoo for the Roorchestra. People got to sit under the stars and enjoy patriotic musical selections, as well as pieces from classic American movies like Jurassic Park and Star Wars. The music director of the Louisville Orchestra talked about why this was so important to them.
We're famous for community work, for doing exactly this, concerts that reflect the community and that bring people together that might not otherwise find a space in a united way.
If you missed the show over the weekend, there's a second Roorchestra event scheduled for Saturday, July 19th. You can expect to hear a Western-themed program celebrating the spirit of the American frontier. The gates will open at 6:30 with the concert beginning at 8:30. People in Louisville got to enjoy some music, a fireworks display, and a view of the Ohio to celebrate the 4th of July weekend. The Riverview Independence Festival gave people a way to beat the heat while having fun on the holiday. The splash pad in Riverview Park was running for kids to cool down. There were also a bunch of food trucks and nonprofits, plus other community support groups showing the crowd the services they offer.
We want to have great community. We want to have good patriotism and, love for country. And so I hope that this weekend provides that for the people in this community, and them to have an opportunity to come out here, just enjoy one another, enjoy the South End community, enjoy some pieces of what it is to be an American, for sure.
District 12 Councilman Jonathan Joseph said one of his goals with the event was to bring the South End their own holiday events so they don't have to drive across town to celebrate the 4th. Well, speaking of celebrations, a Louisville man had a big milestone to celebrate over the weekend. William H. Mitchell Jr. turned 100 years old. He's now 100 years old, and he rung in his birthday among friends, family, and the congregation that means so much to him. He served our country during World War II before being honorably discharged in 1943. Since then, his family says he's become a fixture in both the Westwood Presbyterian Church in the Chickasaw neighborhood and the Grace Hope Presbyterian Church in Smoketown.
Uncle means everything to our family. He means everything to this church. He's put his heart and soul into this church. This very fellowship hall is named after him. And he's a pillar in the community and just a beacon of light to our family.
Mitchell's niece says that he is a Westwood Church's oldest charter member. When we asked them to describe him in just a few words, they said thoughtful, kind, graceful, and dependable, among many other kind words. Well, dozens of people said their goodbyes to a longtime track coach Coach Edward Newton Sr. passed away recently. He was a longtime coach at Louisville's West Side Track Club and Central High School. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote was lucky enough to speak to some of his former students who shared more about his legacy.
He really poured into us. Track was his thing.
He was a very important vessel in our lives.
Nathalie Zetrin Norman and Janae Wycliffe are lifelong friends. Meeting on the track at Central High School, they were sophomores in 2006 when Coach Newton took over the program.
Coach Newton introduced us to the uniforms, the nice stuff, you know, so once he came and saved our program for Central, we popped out.
During their high school careers, their team took home a first-place finish in the state championships indoor meet and several top 3 finishes. But Newton's passion for coaching stretched far beyond that of the track.
His main focus was making sure that we graduated and make sure that we went to college, which all of us did. He advocated for us in terms of scholarships, using our talents to make sure that we can get a higher education.
Coach Newton began his coaching career in the 70s. In addition to coaching at Central High School, he also coached at Ballard and Male, and he was a longtime coach at the West Side Track Club. A balloon release earlier this week brought out dozens of people who were impacted by him.
Thank you, Coach Newton.
Those relationships are more than just a coach and athlete.
He had an amazing relationship with his former athletes as well as our parents. Yeah. So it wasn't just about the kids, it was a family thing. We could call him for anything, and to this year, we was able to still call him.
It's clear people far and wide are remembering a man with so much care and so much influence.
The legacy that he's leaving behind, it's not just about track. It's literally about the community that he's built here through pouring into the other people that are in this community. So he's walking around Louisville, he's walking around Florida, Birmingham, Houston, he's everywhere.
According to his obituary, Newton leaves behind his wife, 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. Here's a look at the top 5 movies from this weekend's box office. 28 years later made $4.6 million to stay in 5th place. Leo came in 4th place with $5.7 million. How to Train Your Dragon came in 3rd place with $11 million. F1 the movie dropped to 2nd place with $26.1 million. And Jurassic World Rebirth blew the competition out of the water, opening with $91.5 million on Friday through Sunday, and $147.3 million since opening on Wednesday. That seems to be the movie to catch these days. Well, McDonald's is rolling out a new menu item. Starting tomorrow, they're adding spicy breakfast sandwiches to their menu. That's the Spicy McMuffin Breakfast Sandwich. It features all of the items in a traditional Egg McMuffin, but this one has a kick to it. McDonald's is adding its signature spicy pepper sauce. The restaurant will also offer customers its Spicy Sausage McMuffin and the Spicy Sausage McMuffin with egg. McDonald's says those spicy items will only be on the menu for a limited time, though. I will have to check that out because I love some spicy food. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Well, the results are in for the Madison Regatta this year. Every year, the speedboat racing event draws people to the town of Madison, Indiana, and it is pretty cool to watch. Take a look at this. As for the Indiana Governor's Cup final heat, the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate came in first, the U8 Beacon Electric was in second, and the U11 Beacon Plumbing placed third. You can find the complete results over on wave3.com or on the Wave News app, but those boats just look like they are flying there. Well, Michael Brown Jr. hasn't played a minute for U of L basketball, but many experts are already wanting his name as a future All-American and top NBA draft pick. That's because he's showing it in Switzerland with the U19 FIBA World Cup, leading Team USA to the title game. That was against Germany, which was yesterday. Team USA would roll in the second half to defeat Germany 109 to just 76. Brown was lethal all tournament, closes out with 11 points, putting up 4 assists and 2 rebounds as well. He was named the All-Star 5 for the tournament, and as he prepares for his first season at U of L, he will arrive with a gold medal, and I know Cards fans are looking forward to seeing him. Saturday, July 5th was the inaugural Josh Minkins Day here in Louisville. Minkins is now a safety for the New England Patriots. He was hosting his camp for kids in the area. He also had some held with former Card and recent draftee Quincy Riley. He's a new cornerback who's part of the New Orleans Saints. Riley was selected in the 4th round of the NFL draft. We got to talk to Riley about what it means to make the adjustments to playing in the NFL and how he's mentally preparing for his rookie season.
Mostly it was like a dream come true, and like one of these little kids out here, they like, okay, I'm being in the NFL. We always said when we little, but you just never know how much in reach it is until you actually get to that level. Like, dang, like I really got to sit into the NFL, and I was like, okay, now I got to finish. But I feel like Louisville prepared me for the next level, as in having my body physically ready for it, just knowing football, XYZ.
Riley and the New Orleans Saints begin their preseason on August 10th against the LA Chargers. Minkins and the New England Patriots begin their preseason on August 8th against the Washington Commanders. Football season right around the corner. Well, the Cincinnati Reds took on the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday. Cincinnati's Austin Hayes hit the home run at the top of the 5th. The Reds lead this one 1-0. Game tied at the bottom of the 5th, though. And in the bottom of the 8th, Philadelphia's Bryson Stott with the 2-run homer. Phillies move ahead. That's a 3-1. They end up winning it with a final score 3-1. The Reds are back in Cincinnati tonight for their next series against the Miami Marlins. This week, several top-tier golfers are making their way to the green at Hurstbourne Country Club for the PGA stop in Louisville. The ISCO Championship expected to bring in talent from across the nation and right here in Kentucky. Some impressive names that are being added to that list right there. Several great golfers to check out. Now taking a look at what's happening around our area. New JCPS Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood will get a look at one of JCPS's 54 Summer Success League sites. Yearwood will visit teachers and rising 1st through 6th graders at Auburndale Elementary School today at 1 p.m. More than 7,000 JCPS students are enrolled in the Summer Success League, which focuses on math and literacy schools to mitigate students' summer slide, which we know can happen so easily. Today, representatives with the University of Louisville men's and women's golf teams will tee off alongside 50 children from Boys and Girls Clubs in Kentuckiana and Youth on Course. That's happening at Bank of America's free Golf With Us clinic at Seneca Golf Course. College golfers and professionals will share some tips and some life lessons with all those kids as they take turns practicing their swings and putting. That's happening today at 3:30 until 7 p.m. Also, Mayor Craig Greenberg will attend the ribbon cutting for Heaven Hill Brands' new Louisville corporate office. That's happening at 11 o'clock. Heaven Hill Brands is one of the nation's leading independent family-owned spirits companies. That ribbon cutting is happening on Whittington Parkway. So exciting there. Well, so many things to keep up with here, and we will keep you updated with all of that, including a shooting that happened here. According to officers, around 1:30 this morning, Shively police say that they responded to the 3200 block of Kingswood Way. They arrived to find 2 women in their 20s with gunshot wounds. They both died at the scene. No information was given about possible suspects. So if you know anything, you should contact the police department. At Metro Police, working to figure out how where a man was shot after he arrived at Audubon Hospital late last night. They say just a few minutes after 10 o'clock, the man was dropped off by private means with a gunshot wound. He was taken to U of L Hospital and is expected to survive his injuries. We will keep you updated with all of those top headlines throughout the day here on Wave Now and on Wave News. Plus, you can always check out our website, wave3.com. That does it for us here with Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Hope you have a great Monday and a great week ahead.